All right, so how do you focus and more importantly, stay focused in practice and training? And this could also work for races as well, but I'm gonna specifically talk about training and how to really get into your flow and focus. If you don't know me, I'm Logan Lesser, a national motocross racer, having won over 15 state championships and an amateur national championship. I'm an extreme sports athlete and ran a marketing agency for over 4 years, growing it to $30,000 a month. And while doing so, was able to travel the world living in Cape Town, South Africa, part-time throughout the past few years. And I've spent nearly $50,000 on mentors, coaches, courses, and education, learning from the best of the best in business, fitness, mindset, racing, and so on. Now I'm sharing what I've learned and growing my community, the Champion Protocol, linked in the description below. By the way, if you want to apply to train with me online or just join my online community, the link to that is in the description below, so feel free to check that out. But in terms of focusing in training and practice, basically, this will probably be a quicker video, but what I always do is literally I just focus on technique, and I just make sure that I'm focused and consciously thinking about the technique that I want to be focused on, and I'm just making sure, like, throughout the track, I'm just consciously making sure I'm in that correct form and everything. Like, for example, standing on the balls of my feet and keeping my foot, like, if this is the foot peg and this is the ball of my foot, keeping it like this and pushing against the foot peg, and not like standing flat or anything, but literally pushing against it like this and having it at an angle. And when it's at this angle, first of all my like weight and force is going into my feet, which gives me the most control of the bike. And it's going to position my legs and my knees and everything or at least my lower body, more likely in the right position, or it'll make it easier to position it in the right position, which is basically keeping my knees in line or behind the foot pegs. Like, if you watch Jet Lawrence, if you watch Jorge Prado, if you watch any of these guys and you kind of slow it down from a side view, you'll notice their knees, whenever they're standing, are almost never in front of the foot pegs. So it just like, it puts your weight in the right position, like it counterbalances your weight correctly. And once again, it puts all of that force and weight in your feet, which allows you to obviously have the most control. And then aside from that, obviously keeping my elbows up and keeping my finger on the clutch at all times, like just focusing on the simple technique stuff, the basics. But literally that's what allows me to focus and get into my flow when I'm in training and practice, versus just going out and not thinking about anything. And also, I know I say like don't think, just do all the time, which is true, but in practice, and I've gone into this in deep detail, practice is for consciously working on what you need to improve at in your technique or whatever. And not even necessarily what you need to improve at, but just what you need to be doing regardless, like the simple stuff, the basics. Because the more you can ingrain that in your mind, the easier it's going to be for you to just naturally do those things and get into the right form and technique at the races, you know? So then when you're at the races and it's like, all right, stop thinking, just go out and do and trust your instincts. Well, since you've been training them, your instincts and everything knows exactly what to do and how to ride. I dig into that deeper in other videos and stuff, because I know that can be a bit confusing. But regardless, my main point is, in order to focus and stay focused, what I'll do is, in order to immediately kind of get into my flow and everything, I'll literally not give a shit about speed or pushing or anything, unless if I'm doing like sprints or something like that. But even if I'm doing sprints, I will still have in my mind, like, these are the things I need to focus on. Like literally 1, 2, maybe 3 things in terms of technique and stuff, and just be always working on that while I'm out on the track. And then whenever my mind starts to wander, or I start making mistakes or whatever, or I get flustered out on the track, the way that I'll refocus is literally just by reminding myself of those technique things that I need to focus on. Like, I'll just slow it down, or just not think about speed or worry about speed or pushing. I'll just be like, just make sure you're in the right form, the right technique and stuff. Because when you have the right technique and you have the right form, speed will come. Like, it just will, because you'll get more and more comfortable. And when you're riding correctly, then you're going to have more control over the bike. And the more control you have over the bike, the easier it's going to be for you to go faster without feeling sketchy. Because you're going to be going faster without obviously making mistakes and stuff, because you're in the right form, you've got that control of the bike, your feet are locked in, all those sorts of things. But regardless, just try that next time you're practicing, where if you're kind of struggling to get focused or stay focused and kind of get into your flow, just pick like 2 to 3 things, and it could just be the basic stuff. I mean, I'm not talking about trying game-changing stuff to change your whole style. Just pick 2 to 3 of the basic things, even the stuff that I just mentioned. Like, I focus on that stuff all the time. Just pick those and make sure that while you're training and stuff, Just focus on those things. Or if you're working with a trainer, or if you're even at a training facility, like whatever the trainer tells you to do, and honestly, if they aren't telling you to do something, go up and fucking ask them what you should work on. Like, that's something at training facilities I never really saw people do, is they wouldn't go up, and I would always do this, which in the beginning, my dad would push me to do this, and then eventually I was doing it on my own. But like, I'd go up to the trainer and ask him like, hey, what mistakes was I doing? Like, what can I work on? How can I get better here? So like, do that, and then whatever it is they tell you to work on, just focus on that. Like, that's what you can focus on while you're out on the track, which will allow you to stay focused and everything. Because when you're focused on that technique and stuff, first of all, you're going to be riding better and a lot smoother because you are riding correctly. So that's one thing, which will allow you to get into your flow and the zone way better, because you're not going to be making a ton of mistakes and stuff, most likely. And aside from that, it'll keep your mind basically occupied, so that, because if your mind is like thinking, and not even like thinking hard, but kind of just making sure to remind your body, like, okay, make sure you're on the balls of your feet, make sure your knees are behind the foot pegs, arms are up, like whatever. When your mind is thinking of that, it's occupied, and it's not going to be losing focus and wandering off and thinking about that girl you saw the other day, or whatever else, whatever the hell you're thinking about on the track. But so that's just kind of why I think it works. But regardless, that's what works for me, so feel free to try it. Kind of a shorter one, but just want to throw that out there, because I think that's something I know I struggled with a lot in the past, and some other people I've talked to have struggled with. But regardless, if you want to apply to train with me online, or even join my community, again, the link to that's in the description below, so feel free to check that out. And with that being said, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.